Yeah. Well, yeah, okay. So, welcome to the Port Huron Statement. It's been a while. I have been working diligently on a language model, I guess, and a couple other things. It's really a reasoning model. Yeah, it's a reasoning model. But among other things, including the reason that I'm making this is including a dead man switch, which is a series of fail-safes to make sure that if I cease to engage with certain things, that the information is disseminated in a way that can't be prevented. And so, with the smaller model I'm working with locally, I've been building into that web scraping and incorporating the dead man switch into that. So it's got a couple different means by which it works, through scheduling, so I have to constantly reschedule things, and also through buffer, and then also now using R1. So what it's doing is scraping a couple different things, and if one of the things, the conditions is if I don't post a YouTube on the Port Huron statement, it will start to iterate, assuming the dead man switch has been pulled. And that is an additional condition because I realized if my YouTube was compromised and my buffer was compromised and my Facebook was compromised, like if all these different things, my email was compromised, if my computers were compromised, if I still wanted this to be disseminatable, and what's nice about using R1 is that it can continue to iterate, and it can actually produce personal correspondence. So right now it has a series of contacts that it's going to initially disseminate. So if it went into iteration 2, begins a series of emails, reissues a series of social media contacts, spreads out from just Facebook. So right now it was just a series of Facebook messages that are vague, and then after 24 hours after this, then it's 23 hours actually, I like prime numbers, but it starts ramping up content and then assuming more likely. And so what I'm happy to see with this dead man switch is that it functioned correctly. I didn't realize that I hadn't made one of these in so long. But a couple things I realized using the recents, right? So on the Facebook, what happens is if the browser closes right now, it tries 3 times. But what ends up happening is it resends because it's going top down in recents. So the last person it sent one to, it then becomes the first person, and then it goes down the list recent basis. So that's not very helpful because that just means that the same people get 2 or 3, and a lot of times it'll end up crashing at the same point. So rather than getting 400 out, I'm getting 3 to 80 people, or really 3 to 80 people, or 2 to some, 1 to some, now it wasn't even that high. I think it was total reach was 80, which was not great. I had some bounce back and stuff like that. What else? And then at first I was gonna shut it off. There's actually a semantic key that's supposed to be possible to unlock this, but I've come to recognize that using the R1 1.7 billion parameters model, it's not able to identify the semantic key because it's embedded, but it's prose based on my voice. So you need to be able to understand the 30,000 record database of interactions that I developed that represent my voice in a contextual way, which isn't that hard to understand and do for GPT-4 through the OpenAI API, but to do it locally, it doesn't work. So I wasn't really able to turn it off. This is the only way that I could turn it off without interrupting the iteration, and then therefore I realized there is a way that I could interrupt this, I guess is the point, which the goal was to make it uninterruptible, but I did it in the course of at first being like, well, this isn't good, I kind of just want to stop it, but then I realized that it didn't actually send any more messages out because of the duplication. So I started to realize this was happening because I started to realize messages were being sent on my Facebook because it's operating a headless browser, so you don't notice it. But then on that computer, it's obviously doing what it's doing, so whatever. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But I don't know. I don't remember. Well, the point is it's gonna scrape again to YouTube. I've still got several hours, but and it should then identify the upload date condition against the date time that it will scrape. So it should cancel iteration 2. Yeah. I don't think that I'm trying to think if there's no printout or anything either, too, so it'll just end. But I'm realizing that I need to containerize this and put it in a Docker file and then spread the Docker everywhere, is what I realize is the failure of it. It's too localized. The reason it would fail is it would just shut the computer off. But I can make it, essentially I just put it in a Docker file now and put it in onto the cloud and then copy that over and over and over again. It's not that big. It's a couple gigabytes, it is, but that's not that big. So fun. It's kind of fun. I don't know. Been doing this for a fucking month. Ugh, that's a lot of work. Just to say, if I happen to disappear, please make sure that these pieces of information and these individuals are and then relationships and all these things, and then this database and these resources, and what I'm saying. If it happens, pretty sure that I've already solved it. So, Port Huron. Your problems are much bigger than your city limits, but, they're solvable. Just stop letting yourselves be influenced by shitty, stupid, fucking people. And that's not super easy, and it's a process. Of realizing the hypocrisy and realizing the premises aren't real and the premises are false, and the self-deprecation, that's the key. You need to realize that the internalized position that you exist in this false hierarchy is not a direct or real representation of where you ought to be, because no hierarchy should exist. People don't have a right to tell you what to do, especially as an adult. Please stop just following orders. Please.